All right, so remember this piece where I did a folded up version of it. I showed you how it went flat and then it all got folded up into this little booklet. I have since gone back and started working on the inside spreads. And you'll see I've calmed down the pages quite a bit. I decided I didn't really like this sort of viridian green color. It was like a little bit too vibrant, and of course the whole thing is like way too busy. But I liked some of the elements that were popping through. So I've slowly been going through each spread and sort of muting them out with similar colors and creating a much softer background that I can now maybe go over in collage or do some writing in. You know, keeping some of these little elements that sort of poke through. Here's a quick tour of the inside spreads, and we'll take a look at these again at the very end of the video. I added some collage and some stencils and finished it up. All right, I also made a separate cover, so added collage onto that as well. And now I'm going to glue it onto the booklet. So I decide which one I want on the front and which one I want on the back. Okay, so I grabbed my PVA glue, which is used for bookbinding or journal making. And I just put a thin layer on it and line up my cover and get it set. Straighten out edges and make sure everything's straight. Now the nice thing about PVA glue is it doesn't take super long to set up. So no, I'm just doing my back cover, just a small bead of glue, again just lining it up, getting it glued on. And then I just take a roller and just roller everything to make sure air bubbles are out, and it's got a really good connection between the glue and the paper. And we're going to let it dry. Now I'm adding a spine to it. So I grabbed a piece of black fabric, cut it to size, leaving a little bit of gap for the book to stretch. You don't want to put it on tight or it won't lay flat. So I just use the glue. Now I fold the top and the bottoms over so that it doesn't fray on the top and the bottom, and then just leave the sides a cut edge. You certainly could sew them or fold them over if you want. And then I just put the glue on and get it lined up the best I can and flatten it out. The glue will dry clear, so I'm not worried about the little white spot of glue. And then the back, and again, I'm not pushing this super tight. I'm leaving a bit of a gap so that the book can open and lay flat. And then I'll just make sure that it's stuck down really well with my brayer. Try to get it straight. And you'll see there's a little bit of a gap there so that it has some room to open and close. And then what I generally do is grab a piece of palette paper and just fold over it and stick some large gator clips on just to hold it until it dries. And that really only takes a couple of hours because it dries really fast. So now that it's completely dry and the spine is nice, we'll do a flip through the pages. Just as one final look through the book. I added some stencils with some writing on it just to make it a little bit more interesting. And a little bit of tissue paper collage here and there. The goal with this was to try to quiet down that really, really busy pattern I initially had. And you'll see it's got a nice little book to it with a little bit of gap there for the fold. And so the next set here is just previous versions that I've done with different size options. Depending on the size of the paper you start with, you can fold them differently. That one has a self cover with paper that I just used. That one is another fabric one that I just glued on. This is a great little book. That one was fun to do. And that's only like 2 inches by 3 inches. This is like 3 inches square, and I left that open without a spine cover on it. And then the last one is more like a concertina, which is one that folds out like an accordion. And what I did is with the big piece of paper is instead of folding it in 4, I cut it in half and then folded those 2 halves over. And then what you do is you actually tape it in the middle together. So I just took a piece of acid-free tape and taped the 2 sections together to make one big long accordion fold.